A tank full of gas and an open interstate offer absolute freedom under the midday sun. But once daylight fades, the equation reverses. This diagram illustrates the psychological toll of that midnight isolation, a phenomenon known as highway hypnosis. As the miles stack up, a driver's cognitive focus shrinks away from the surrounding environment, locking on to the repetitive flicker of lane markers. In that trance-like state, the boundary between the safety of a locked car and the unknown darkness outside begins to thin. We are looking at 3 documented drives where that boundary broke down completely. We will trace these routes from a desolate stretch of Eastern Highway to the deep Nevada desert, concluding with an encounter in Montana so severe the survivors refuse to travel at night to this day. Out on an empty highway, the usual lifelines, streetlights, cell service, passing drivers, vanish. You are left entirely exposed to whatever happens to be waiting in the dark. This map illustrates the exact layout of Route 17 as it existed in 2019. When college student Tyler drove this stretch at midnight, he navigated a strict dead zone, isolated by a 20-mile gap to the nearest civilization. Tyler spotted a lone figure standing on the gravel shoulder. It was a young woman, barefoot, wearing soaking wet white clothing, staring blankly ahead without waving or asking for help. Tyler unlocked his passenger door and let her in, assuming she was stranded. Immediately, the cabin went dead silent. The temperature plummeted so rapidly that Tyler's breath became visible in the air, despite it being the peak of summer. She ignored his questions until she quietly asked, "Do you know where they found my body?" A second later, the car's headlights illuminated a green sign marking a nearby creek. Before Tyler could process the question, the car suffered a total electrical failure. The dashboard went black, and the vehicle plunged into complete darkness. 3 seconds later, the power surged back on, and the passenger seat was empty. The next morning, Tyler discovered that a woman matching his passenger's description had drowned in that exact creek 3 years earlier. The experience was so jarring that Tyler has never driven Route 17 again. We view our cars as impenetrable shields, but when the power dies and you are locked in the dark, that sense of security vanishes. The cabin doesn't just offer a seat, it becomes a space you cannot escape until the encounter is over. In 2022, a married couple named Jason and Emily found themselves in a similar dead zone, driving through the Nevada desert. With their fuel gauge hitting empty, their GPS displayed nothing but miles of barren road ahead. Then, glowing against the pitch-black desert, an unmapped gas station appeared. The structure was anachronistic, looking as though it belonged in an entirely different decade. Inside the store, there was no hum from the coolers. An elderly attendant stood behind the register with completely white eyes. He refused to speak, simply pointing a single finger toward the exterior pumps. Jason and Emily fueled up and drove another 30 minutes to a motel. When Jason mentioned the station, the night clerk informed them that the location had been an empty lot for 15 years. The original building burned down in a fatal fire. At sunrise, the couple retraced their route. The glowing structure was gone, replaced by a scorched, empty patch of dirt. Their bank statements later showed zero record of any fuel purchase made that night. In extreme isolation, travelers can slip into environmental anomalies, where the road briefly routes them through a location that no longer exists in the present day. Our final case proves that the most severe threats are sometimes entirely human. At 1 a.m., 3 friends were navigating a rural Montana forest with zero cell signal and no turnoffs for miles. This schematic details the setup of the threat. A pickup truck appeared behind them, mirroring their exact trajectory for 40 minutes. It then aggressively flashed its high beams, surging forward until it was practically touching their rear bumper, boxing them in. Suddenly, the truck swerved into the opposite lane, pulling parallel. The driver pointed forcefully backward. Then the pickup fell back to reveal a black SUV stalking the friends in total darkness with disabled headlights. The pickup truck immediately swerved back into the right lane, aggressively inserting itself between the friends and the black SUV. It physically blocked the pursuing vehicle, creating enough distance for the friends to escape. When they reached a town, police confirmed that a black SUV matching that description was linked to a string of incidents involving a serial predator targeting stranded travelers in that specific area. The friends had spent 40 minutes terrified of the man in the pickup truck. In reality, he was a guardian who realized they were being hunted by a flesh and blood predator in the dark. These encounters leave a permanent mark. Tyler now takes long detours to avoid Route 17 entirely. Jason and Emily possess fuel from a station that burned down 15 years ago, and 3 friends in Montana carry an unpayable debt to a phantom savior. The true terror of driving alone at midnight is the realization that your vehicle does not dictate the journey. Once you cross into complete isolation, you are at the mercy of an environment you cannot control. Whether it is an echo of the dead, a localized distortion in reality, or a human predator operating in the blind spots of the highway, the threat is always waiting. The next time you find yourself gripping the steering wheel on an empty road, take a long look in your rearview mirror. Drive safely out there, and be careful who or what you pick up along the way. Good night.